breathing is very important in exercise. It's important in massage as well. It's important for well-being. And I never probably elaborated in massage room about breathing, but if you find a tight spot while self-massaging, breathing through it is a very good way to help you diminish the pain levels, right? And so wait until the pain sort of goes down and the muscle is released. Additionally, correct breathing techniques are very good to help you with keeping your open posture, as well as using those big diaphragm muscles, which will take the pressure off smaller neck muscles that often people with shallow breathing or having some sort of heart issues, maybe some respiratory issues, maybe some anxiety issues or some stress going on, together with a lot of sitting activities along the day in front of the computer. When we kind of collapse our posture, we compress our abdominals and our lungs, and therefore we kind of don't use that diaphragm anymore. And we start shallow breathing, right? And so then we really rely on those small muscles that shouldn't be involved that much in breathing process, right? Like, so they shouldn't be primary breathing muscles. It should be big diaphragm that is taking a lot of the load while breathing. And that helps us to have more capacity to take the breath as well, and maintain more oxygen levels in our body as well. So there are a few ways of breathing. There are like a variety of exercises. I want to talk about two main ones: belly breathing, which is used in yoga classes, and then there's Pilates breathing, which is very similar, however a little bit different. So I'll talk about both for you to play with. So with yoga belly breathing, right, which probably I might have talked about this type of breathing in massage class as well, particularly when doing lymphatic drainage with some of you. It's good for this one to lay down. However, it's not essential. You can be sitting as well. And what I want you to do is, in order to practice it, and remember, you may not get it right straight away. You may need some practice coming back to it to get better at it and to sort of get what you're supposed to be doing here. So, lying down on the floor comfortably with your legs bent, with your knees bent. Place one hand on your belly, so somewhere around your belly button, and the other hand on your chest. And first, just observe how you're breathing, right? So when you take a deep breath in, and try to take a deep breath in through the nose and then breathe out through your mouth. Observe what rises first. Is it your hand that is placed on the belly, or is it your hand that is placed on the chest? Obviously, both hands will eventually rise up. But what we want to do, what we want to focus on more, is to actually bring that force, or to push that air deeper towards your belly, right? So when you breathe in, you want to feel the belly hand rising first, right? And try to breathe really to the fullest of your capacity, right? So Not just, but try to take time with your breathing, right? So imagine that you're aiming for maybe 5 seconds for breath in and 5 seconds for breath out. Now really focus on pushing that air down. So as you may feel already, first is the belly hand that raises, and then second, the chest that raises as well. So both are raising, but first we want the belly. So this is something to practice, right? Like to try to master it, that you want to really focus on pushing that air further, right? To raise your belly before the chest. So breathing with your belly may help with your neck problems, and may help you to calm down. So this is a good exercise to do along the day. If you feel a little bit stressed, you may either lay down on the floor or stand up and do it standing or seated, right? Just make sure that you're sitting not slouched, but you're sitting nice and straight in this case. So this is a very nice exercise to do. I guarantee after, let's say, 10 deep breaths, you will feel better. And try not to think about anything, just about your breathing, right? It can turn into a little meditation for you as well. So all you need to focus on is where your breath goes, right? Like how is it distributed, how it sounds, how it feels, right? So all you need to think about is that, nothing else. And focus on breathing as long as you can. So up to 5-6 seconds in breath in and 5-6 seconds breath out. If you feel your shoulders are straight away going up, because it might be of a habit that you have, in this case, try to slightly draw your shoulders downwards towards your pelvis, right? So in this case, particularly if you're sitting, it will help to relax the neck muscles. So that is belly breathing, which I would advise you to practice at home. Now I'll show you the principles of Pilates breathing, which is not so much focused on belly, but it is focused on distribution of the air along the rib cage, your lower parts of the rib cage. For this one, I will sit down. And you may sit on the chair comfortably, or you can sit cross-legged. I advise to use a little pillow, a little book, or a yoga block under your bum. So it will help you to keep your spine in line. So what I mean by spine in line is that from your bra or from in between your shoulder blades, so it will be about T7 on our spine. You want to keep that spine in line, right? So it's not I'm not talking about hyperextended posture, like so super open, but overextending your spine here, because eventually it will not be comfortable because you will be using your back muscles. So this is more of a comfortable seating with your rib cage and your shoulders nicely sitting over your pelvis, right? So if you have a mirror, it's a good idea to have a look. if you have straight spine from brow line or from in between, so like, or from the end of your shoulder blades down to your pelvis, right? So that will be pretty good posture already. And try to draw your shoulders downward. So once again, shoulders or elbows drawing slightly down towards your pelvis, right? So that it will, in case if you have a little bit rounded back, it will deactivate your neck muscles, though it will relax them, because we sometimes tend to raise our shoulders up, right? And that will eventually contribute to neck pains. So we want to use other bigger groups of muscles and take the pressure off our neck muscles, right? This, if you practice that over time, it may become your habit, right? Of course, it will be great if you could do exercises targeting specifically these muscles to be stronger and to sort of not to have to remind yourself to activate them, right? But if you have that habit and you think about it, how is my spine? How are my shoulders? How is my neck in this case? We try not to have our chin too poked away from our neck, but we want to have it in line. So slightly chin tucked in, and that will be pretty good posture to stay for a while like this. Unfortunately, any posture kept for too long is not going to be comfortable. So we try to have as optimal alignment as we can to be able to stay as long for whatever time we need to sit doing some activities, whether it's breathing exercise or typing, right? Like, or, sitting and watching TV, whatever we do. So, if you have a TheraBand, you can use it. If not, I'll show you alternative. But what I want you to do is to wrap the TheraBand around your lower ribs. All right, so just under breast. And you can either cross the TheraBand and pull slightly, right? So you kind of squeeze yourself in between the TheraBand. Or you can directly, because you may actually get tired of pulling, so your shoulders will be a little bit achy. So you may tie a bow fairly tight, not too tight, but to feel that you have something, right? Something to remind you that you have something around your rib cage. So in this case, it looks like this. Try to have your TheraBand wide enough, right, to feel your rib cage wrapped in like a belt. And so, if you don't have TheraBand, just simply place your hands on your lower ribs, right? So you can find where the ribs finish and just place your hand gently where they finish on both sides of your rib cage. And now take a deep breath in again and observe how your rib cage expands, right? Because the diaphragm is attached to your lower ribs all around the rib cage and also the top of your lumbar spine, right? And so the dome of the diaphragm is lowering as we breathe in. And also what happens is that the rib cage expands laterally or to the sides as the dome lowers. And then observe how the rib cage shrinks as we breathe out. Don't worry now about the belly, what's happening with the belly. It could be rising, it could not be rising as much as we did before with belly breathing. We are more focused on what happens with the ribs. and we want to minimize any lifting our shoulders as we breathe in. Therefore, if you can, draw your shoulders slightly downwards, right, towards your pelvis. So as you breathe in, the ribcage goes to the sides as well as slightly lifts. As we breathe out, the ribcage shrinks medially or towards our midline and goes slightly down towards our pelvis. Now, if you use the TheraBand, just feel how your ribcage fills up the TheraBand and how it sort of pushes it away from your midline. Now, you may also play with where you want to send your breath. So we were looking at expanding our ribcage kind of more on the front of our body to the sides and up. We can also think about our back ribcage, right? So we also want that part to be moving. So how it's going to be moving? It's going to be expanding also to the sides and to the back. So if you don't have TheraBand, place your hands on your back, so on the wherever you can reach on the lower rib cage. So try to have still feel the ribs on your back. And as you breathe in, visualize your breath pushing your hands away, so to expand backwards and to the sides as well. This is only can be done in seated position. Therefore, I want it to be seated. You can still do it while laying down. However, you will not necessarily feel your back of the rib cage, and it might not expand much towards the back as you're lying down, and the floor will sort of put a limit there. Therefore, sitting in this case, to feel the rib cage and to make them expand more, which we want to do it. We want movement there. We want those muscles in between the ribs also to work and to stretch a little bit and then come back to their neutral position. So, as you breathe out, because breathing will also help you to activate your core muscles, which are not only abs. Core muscles are actually composed of 4 muscle groups. Apart from your abs, which we want to think about your transverse abdominis that wraps you like a belt all around your waist. Our diaphragm in this case, so diaphragm will help to activate the core. And our little back muscles along the spine that are called multifidus, and our pelvic floor, right? So ideally we want to have all 4 muscle groups activated. Let's just focus now on breathing. So as we breathe in, once again through the nose, our ribcage expands to the sides and slightly up. As we breathe out, try to focus on drawing your ribs downwards towards the pelvis. As you are towards the end of breath out, your rib cage, your ribs should be nicely down, sort of drawn towards your pelvis. To palpate for your core muscles, you may sort of find those two bony landmarks just in front of your pelvis. And so palpate right inside of those bony landmarks. As you take a breath in, try to breathe out as slow as possible. And still breathe out. Can you notice how this area in between those two bony landmarks tightens? No matter how much belly fat we can have, we will feel tightening underneath. So even to take it a little bit further into belly activation, while palpating in between those two bones, as you breathe out, use like a smaller area of your mouth. You can do like a sound S and try to do it as slowly as possible and take your breath into the limit of that expiration. So breathe in and breathe out. So you go absolutely, you squeeze all the air you have in your lungs. And that's when your core is activated. So as you take a breath in, try to maintain that belly activation. And breathe out, activate even more. And now try to maintain that activation as you breathe in. And that will be your exercise to do at home. So first to do just simply belly breathing and feel how your hand that is placed on the belly raises up before your chest raises up. Okay. Once you're comfortable with that, place your hands on lower ribs and feel how the air is filling up your lower ribs and expands the rib cage to the sides and slightly up. And as you breathe out, observe how your ribs sink and lower towards the pelvis. The same happens on the posterior side of your ribs. Observe how your rib cage expands to the back and to the sides and sinks in back towards the spine. Try to keep your shoulders down, so slightly shoulders drawn downwards. So activating your muscles under your armpit to stop the neck muscles lifting your shoulders up. And the last activity that we've done, and I would like you to practice in your own time, is actually core activation using your breath, which will help you to maintain good posture and to support your back, as proper tightening or compression of the core muscle is supporting and taking the pressure off your back muscles that might be a little tired from supporting the whole structure because of not activating your core. Okay, so that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll follow up with the next video with self-massage for neck stiffness.